Welcome to Get the Balance Right, a podcast for female entrepreneurs looking for a quirky spin on business. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolf, CPA and profitability coach. I'm a longtime vegan, Gen Xer, cat mom, drag queen enthusiast, and collector of weird dolls and lunchboxes. If you want kick-ass information that includes zany commentary and a dab of woo-woo, then you've come to the right place. I want to help you build a business based on your passion and authentic voice. Are you ready to take control of your finances so you can earn, keep, and grow the money you deserve? If you're a solo entrepreneur that isn't afraid to do things scrappy, then roll up your sleeves and let's get the balance right. Can you relate to this? You are going about your life and suddenly you discover a new passion. You're just completely blown away by this new passion that you tell everyone about it. But they don't quite match your excitement. Not even close. You start thinking, what if I could make a business out of this passion? But every day you go to work, punch the clock, and think, ugh, there goes another day where I'm not following my passion. Then you start resenting your boss and even your coworkers. And you feel super depressed and unfulfilled. Then one day you go into work and a powerful feeling hits you deep in your gut. This time, instead of fantasizing about quitting, you actually do it and never, ever look back. Hi, I'm Heather Zeitzwolf, CPA and business coach. I help my clients build profitable, scalable businesses based on their creativity and passion. Perhaps you totally relate to the story about quitting your job, or maybe you've been dreaming about it, but just not ready to take the leap. Whatever your current situation, at some point, you have probably had a job, or maybe several, that were way outside your passion zone. I think most of us have. Whether we take the almighty plunge and quit often depends on a variety of reasons, but it typically boils down to one thing, and that's fear. Oh, yes, fear. Our guest today, Stephanie Harter, conquered that fear. After discovering veganism, Stephanie's life has not been the same. Before she started her vegan coaching business, she had the total quintessential Jerry Maguire moment and hasn't had any regrets. In fact, she has taken her passion of veganism to a whole new level. She became an author of the award-winning book, The Skinny on Eating Like You Give a Damn, and now trains others who share her passion to become vegan coaches. Through her business, Coaching Like You Give a Damn, she provides the framework and guidance to help plant-based coaches and practitioners take their business from ground zero to getting high-value clients. Through her expertise, she has helped her students win awards, become recognized authorities in their field, and build six-figure businesses. In this episode, you'll hear about the challenges she experienced along the way with the success she achieved by following her passion. Get ready to be inspired. And remember, it's never too late to follow your passion. Please, please, I want you to follow your passion. All right, here is my discussion with Stephanie Harter. Stephanie Harter, welcome to Get the Balance Right podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Heather.
I'm so excited because I know you from a book cover. Like, that is how I originally saw you, on a book cover. And now you're here on my podcast. How cool is that? You are a vegan. Not only did I see your book, but I also happened to sign up for your course online before I even knew you, and I was so impressed with that course. Let's go back a little bit. We're talking about following our passion. This vegan journey that you've been on, did that start first? So you wrote a book. I mean, were you Did the veganism come first, I'd imagine, before the book, or how did that happen?
Oh man, I love that we're backing it up to the good stuff. My vegan journey actually started, I call it seeing the world through the vegan lens after reading a book actually called Skinny Bitch. It was a really awesome book. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, a lot of people went vegan because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So the marketing of that book really caught my attention. I was just walking through Barnes and Noble and it just, bam, it hit me. Nothing on the cover about veganism or plant-based lifestyle, anything like that. So I had no idea what I was getting into. Yeah, it turns out upon, reading that book and starting down that vegan journey for myself and actually really resisting the whole labeling of it in the first place, I really found myself digging up some other stories from my past and my history, just going through life and realizing, oh my God, if I had known all of this stuff from day one, if I had been taught all of this stuff about our food system, about animal treatment, I've always loved animals, about how it's impacting the planet, I would have been vegan from day one. I would have been a baby vegan right out the womb. It was a journey for sure. It was probably from 2009 to 2014, maybe.
Let's go back. You see this book in Barnes and Noble. You weren't a health coach at that point?
Oh, no, that was nowhere near on my radar. I had just gotten married around the time that I read that book. My husband, he was military, getting ready to go overseas and live in the Middle East.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I came home after reading that book one day, a newly married couple, getting ready to make all these plans about moving overseas because I was supposed to go with him in that year too. He was just like, I really want to know what you learned about. I really want to, I want to understand it. But I'm about to move to the Middle East and I have no idea what I'm going to eat. So is it okay if we get through this next year and then have a conversation about this? And I totally was on board. I totally got it. Very stressful time. But the cool thing is he kept to his word on that. We both got to continue this journey together. That's really a blessing because I'm really super grateful that he was on board with me the whole time, rather than a lot of people, if they're in a relationship, they're resistant to that sort of idea or that sort of lifestyle change. And he was on board since then.
Very cool. Then you have that support system. What happened then? What's next?
Since he moved overseas, I got to go with him, off and on for 30 days at a time because I was on a 30-day visa. So I'd be sometime there, sometime back in the States. And at the time I had moved from Virginia, where I had left my project management job for a software development company, and moved to Florida, where I started doing some random things because I was only in the States for every other 30 days. I didn't get to really work or hold down a normal job or continue my career. Next thing I knew, we were getting orders after that year to go to Italy for the next 3 years.
Whoa, Italy. Wow.
Yeah. So exciting and scary all at the same time, but I was totally on board with it. So here we are on this vegan journey, continuing that, moving overseas and just really learning a lot as we went. At the same time, I was still reinventing myself because I couldn't work a normal job. By the time we moved back to the States, I had this 4-year gap on my professional resume. And I actually ended up going back to bartending, which was something I did in my early 20s, was my fun job to pay the bills. And it was okay, but I was still trying to figure out what's my next move? I guess I have to get back into the professional scene, so I worked for a health and nutrition school. The American School of Natural Health actually had just opened up over here in Clearwater. I was the president's right-hand man for a little bit of time. So I got some experience there in the health and wellness world, getting to talk to certified coaches, health coaches, and wellness coaches. And it just seemed like a really intriguing space. I got to learn so much from that experience. I ended up finding myself into another job that was actually a very toxic environment.
Oh,
but what I learned through all of that, bottom line, I'm not meant to be sitting in a cubicle anymore. I got a lot to share. I've got a lot of passion for plant-based living. I really see this as the way that the future is heading. And that was really on my heart a lot. And so I pulled a Jerry Maguire on that last job, by the way. I walked out and one person did go with me. So I love telling that story because it was a true Jerry Maguire moment for me.
Wow.
The only thing I didn't have was a fish.
Because you're vegan. So you wouldn't have that.
Well, I would have rescued the fish, what I mean? If there was one. I ended up going back to bartending just to pay the bills so that I could start on a complete new journey of entrepreneurship. That's how it all began.
That's really cool. And I love this Jerry Maguire moment. That's really funny. When did the book come out? Because I know that I've seen this book for years. So it's been out for a while, right?
Yeah, thanks. So it was published in 2019. So April 2019, it just celebrated my 3rd-year anniversary since the book's come out.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. And it's called
The Skinny on Eating Like You Give a Damn.
The Skinny on Eating. So it's almost like Skinny Bitch, kind of like you're incorporating some of what you learned in the beginning and bringing it full circle. Why the give a damn?
I like sticking it to the man. You know, I mean, I really started seeing myself as a rebel. I'd always considered myself a rule follower, you know, the good girl who always colors inside the lines and all that stuff. You know, being on this vegan journey, it shifted my perspective in a lot of different social issues in the world. I really wanted to make sure that I was speaking that truth to people by saying, if this resonates with you, you're a rebel.
It's amazing to me. The idea of being compassionate about what you eat is so radical. It's so radical to give up meat because we are so ingrained that that's the way it's supposed to be. It is unethical to eat animals. Maybe that is a radical point of view, but I think being compassionate shouldn't be considered radical. It should be the way everybody should be. Everyone.
Well, you know, I'm right there with you, Heather.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. For other vegans that are listening, we can all like relate to the fact that when we start seeing the world through the vegan lens and we start implementing these changes in our life, all of a sudden, everybody's a nutritionist. You know, everybody in our life is a nutritionist, right? Our friends, our family, they're meaning really, really well. But this is all we've ever grown up with, everybody we've ever known, everything we've ever seen on TV, on billboards, when we go to restaurants, everything that we've been surrounded by is this truth that it is okay to eat animals. You know, this is normal. This is our life. This is what we do. There's businesses out there telling us that it's healthy for us. Inundated with all of these messages. When we wake up, we're like, well, I made a radical change in my life. Now I'm rebelling against everything I've ever known, everybody that's ever told me that this was normal, healthy, it was good for the planet, blah, blah, blah. You know, rebels we are.
When you mention everybody becomes a nutritionist, for those that are listening that aren't vegan, I'll just tell you that everybody that you know that's not vegan will ask you, where do you get your protein from? Suddenly this becomes an issue for people.
Yes.
Or they'll say, but where do you get your omega-3 fatty acids? Well, I can tell you, I used to be in the Radical Cheerleaders for Animal Rights, and my cheer was about those two things because what people would ask me about. And so I had a cheer. It was like, beans and flax seeds don't clog your arteries, because that's where I got my stuff from.
I love that.
Beans is protein, flax seeds, you get your omega-3 fatty acids. Full disclosure, I looked online for different courses and I came across your course and I was like, I thought it was really, really good about becoming like a vegan coach. And so did the class come first, or were you actually doing coaching first and then started the class? How did that work?
I had actually been health coaching, letting the people that I had been networking with in my life know that I was providing health coaching services based on the results that I ended up getting during my transformation. It was really exciting to me, but it was also like not what I was initially going for when I was on my own vegan journey. I went because of the ethical issues. What happens to animals before they become something that we drink or something that we eat off of our plate is absolutely like horrific. And that's what spoke to my heart first. I wasn't at the time really interested in health and wellness until I started realizing, like, so many people are asking me about the protein. So many people are asking me about where am I getting all my vitamins, minerals? I need to learn all of this stuff for myself. Yeah. And so I naturally wanted to be a healthy vegan because I really felt like if I had so many people that, you know, that I wanted to inspire with this journey, then I needed to embody somebody that's healthy. Right.
Yeah.
So that was what was speaking to me. That's not for everybody, and that's okay. But that's what was on my heart. And I lost a lot of weight so easily without even trying. It was like so silly. My skin cleared up. And the biggest thing is I had this really chronic digestive issue problem that had been diagnosed as IBS, but who the heck really knows, but chronic digestive issues my entire life. I mean, my mom's told me stories about how I was in so much pain just from like a kid, So
I had the same thing. I lost time at school and everything from.
Yes.
I was actually lactose intolerant, but I found out later after like getting the meat out of my system that there was other issues, but you don't know until you get it out of your body. So
exactly.
Keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, I just love that. I love hearing when other people have these kind of success stories because there's so much that a plant-based lifestyle has to offer. That's what ended up happening with me is it ended up totally transforming my body, the way that I viewed health and wellness and putting myself first so that I could help take care of other people and be that inspiration that I wanted to embody and lead that change that I want to see in the world. I started communicating this more. I was going to different networking groups, going to different events, and handing out a business card to the people that I talked to. And sure enough, there were a lot of people that were actually really interested. I would hear people say, oh my gosh, I really know I need to be eating more broccoli. Or I really know that I need to be eating less meat. They actually know this. They acknowledge it. And so I said, funny you should say that. Are you looking for a little bit of help in that area? I could provide some guidance. And that's how I really got started. It transformed into being my full-time gig.
Now, you live in Florida. Were you going to people's houses to coach them? I mean, that was probably before Zoom was like such a big thing. What does that look like to be a vegan coach? Does that mean like going to someone's kitchen and looking in their cupboards and being like, nope? Throw that away. Like, what does that look like?
That's interesting. You should ask because this, of course, did happen before the pandemic, before everybody was on Zoom and stuff. So yeah, I did start locally with just people that I knew and that knew me and that invited me into their homes. We would do exactly what you just said. Go through the pantry, go through the fridge, start introducing them to new things at the grocery store or go through the grocery store with a different perspective, looking through the plant-based lens and seeing what there was to offer that they would like, because everybody I noticed was very individual with what they preferred. That's how it started. What I really started to understand was people were having these dramatic transformations for themselves. It started with them being like, oh, you want to help coach me? Oh, I need some help in this area. This is great. I usually eat Philly cheesesteaks. So like, what could I have in place of that? Or like, whatever their go-to meal was, they wanted to veganize it. By providing them that information and showing them how it's done, all of a sudden, one of my first actual paying clients, she had been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune disease. When she got that diagnosis, she had already been to a naturopathic doctor who had suggested some supplements, but above all, he recommended that she go more plant-based, but he still had certain guidelines for her, no soy, no wheat. And it was a very stringent sort of diet and she had no idea where to start. So of course I helped her with that. The cool thing is neither of us was anticipating that she would end up off of her medicine within just a few weeks. And her doctor was completely shocked. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Cause it takes like 20 days or something to your body to kind of get rid of all that out of your body. I don't want to get gross or anything, but meat chunks can stay in your intestines for a very long time. So,
but it's basically rotting flesh hanging out in your body.
yeah. But I think maybe within 20 days, maybe you can get rid of all of that stuff in your body.
I think it's different for everybody. One thing that remains true is that when somebody's ready to make a radical change and they're committed to following the steps and actually implementing those changes, and starting to shift their perspective around what a cheat day is, because sometimes our goals or our desires or what's on our heart or what's motivating us is so much bigger than, oh, I need a cheat day sort of a thing. When people are actually willing and ready to do the work, they can experience incredible transformations within days.
Wow.
Days. It's incredible. And that's what started to really fuel this passion for me in this health coaching space. I got so excited seeing what was possible for people. One of my other first clients dropped 50 pounds in under 3 months. She had started on 14 different medications and she went all the way down to 4, just 4. 14
wow.
So she released 10 medications over the course of a few months. And of course, this is all under, just my disclaimer, this is all with the doctor's guidance along the way, but just my guidance in showing them the changes that they can implement in their own diet and lifestyle.
Like the movie Super Size Me really demonstrates, people eat that sort of quote unquote American diet of fast food and all of that, all the trouble that your body can get into in just a short amount of time. I mean, that guy did that movie within 30 days and he had all these health problems from putting all that junk into his body. So now you're meeting people in their homes, you're getting inspired, and now you're like, hey, maybe I could train other people to do this. Is that what happened? Like, you're like, hey, I could bring this to the masses.
Yeah, very similar, just networking and meeting different people. I was approached by Sonda at the time, an associate of mine that I'd seen at other events before. And she was a health coach. She had started looking into pursuing this certification course. And so she actually invited me to be the instructor that actually taught the vegan nutrition education side of it, while she focused on other coaching aspects and the business side of things. And so together we created that course and launched that. And it's gone off like gangbusters, well over 6,000 students that have come through that course. But within just a few months of students coming through the course, reaching out for their official certificate, they would be like, okay, so I've got all this knowledge. I've got all this fire. Like, I am so excited to help people. Stephanie, what do I do? How do I get clients? Well, I got you. That's where things started to transition from my book and my brand and my podcast that were under Eating Like You Give a Damn. And now it's made the transition to Coaching Like You Give a Damn, where I'm actually helping other plant-powered, vegan and plant-based coaches who are on fire to want to make an impact for people and animals and the planet. And they're really looking to get that start. They're looking to get clients. They want to be a professional. They want to quit their jobs. They want to know how to do this online thing, like as their full-time gig, so they can create more fun and freedom in their life for themselves and fulfillment. That's what really lights me up. So at some point along this transition, I went from being super nerdy about like nutrition to like really geeking out on like the business side of things. Now, being able to see all of these coaches as they're getting clients, transforming their lives, that creates a ripple effect in our world. And that fires me up. Like, I wake up like with tears in my eyes some days, I'm not going to lie, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I know of one of my recent students that's come through my Hot Damn Business Launchpad who helped somebody lose 30 pounds and reverse her pre-diabetes. I'm like, that's incredible. And she's getting, helping more people to get animals off of their plates. And so it's just the ripple effect that it creates is like so much more than I could do as one person. So it just like lights me up.
Yeah, that is so exciting. When I want to try to convert, I'm always trying to convert people to veganism, at least be part-time vegan if you're not going to go full on vegan. But I seriously think that the way to somebody's heart is through food. And because we turn a blind eye to all the atrocities that are happening to animals. And I'm guilty of it. I knew about factory farming, and it's just so much easier to just kind of shut that off. And like, if you go to a supermarket, you like kind of like the meat is packaged like now, it just completely disgusts me. I think it always kind of disgusted me. You think of it as just like a commodity. You don't think about it as a creature that lived and had feelings. You just think like, this is dinner. But when you go through the transformation, it's there is definitely a transformation. I think getting people to eat delicious food is one of the best ways. And then they're like, oh, this is good. This isn't like twigs and berries like I thought it was going to be. They can switch on that new lens like you were talking about. For the people out there that are like, now, what's the difference between a nutritionist and a coach, like a vegan coach? Obviously, there's differences around certification and education and all that. But how would you define the difference?
The difference is exactly what you just said. It's certification. It's the amount of education, the licensure. A nutritionist and dietitians, they receive specialized training in their field, and they typically will work alongside doctors. And a health coach is somebody that can provide guidance. And one thing that I love to talk to my coaches about is the idea of coach-sulting. So typically a coach is there to support the client in their personal goals, to reach a specific goal that they're looking to hit. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it's that they just want to get more healthy. They just want to learn how to maybe make the transition themselves, like say to a vegan or plant-based lifestyle, and make it easy for them when they have, so many things that they're juggling in their life. They just don't have the mental capacity to like try and figure that out on their own too, right? Others have been told by their doctors that they need nutrition support because they have to lose a certain amount of weight in order to qualify to get a surgery that they need.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And in many cases like that, they don't necessarily need to see a nutritionist per se, but the doctor would say, you need to lose the weight. And then the person walks away like, I don't know what to do this.
Right.
So, and that's where a coach, if they're positioned correctly, can actually be at the right place and right time to capture people like that who are looking for that guidance.
Yeah. And the word that you used was almost like a blend of coach and consultant. I've not heard that before. Go ahead, say that word again.
Yeah, coach salting.
Coach salting. Did you make this up? I've never heard this before.
I can't take 100% credit for it. I heard it somewhere. I don't know. I don't even know where I heard it from. But when I heard that term, I was like, oh my gosh, that resonates with me big time.
Yeah.
So now I use that term. I can't take credit for it. But coach salting, yes, it's exactly a blend of like coaching where you're providing a specific guidance through asking questions. That's what coaching is all about, right? So a lot of people, they are faced with a specific challenge and they just need a coach to get the right answers out of them because a lot of times we have the answers that we need.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't have all the answers, right? We don't know have the nutrition know-how. We don't have the strategy or the exact plan or the step-by-step process to get to a specific result. And that's where a consultant comes in. My coaches learn how to blend the two. So that way, the people who are in the most pain, and I say pain in air quotes, because it doesn't have to be a physical pain. A lot of times this is emotional pain, right? So somebody that's carrying extra weight or somebody that's every area of their life is being impacted by a health-related condition or a diagnosis that they've received or the lack of energy that they have. They've hit a certain plateau in their life. And there's a lot going on with people that it goes beyond what the doctor says that they need. It's really internal, like with their emotions. And that's where I work with coaches to tap into that emotional aspect, to find those clients who are ready to make a real transformation in their lives.
Is it mostly females? Is it mostly your target, or you have males that are taking these coaching courses?
I actually have a 60-40 kind of a split.
Really? Oh, yeah. That's exciting.
Predominantly females tend to gravitate towards the health coaching career, but got a lot of cool dudes out there too that are doing it, man. It's really awesome to see that I have a good 60-40 split.
Nice. And for people that are thinking like, ooh, this sounds really intriguing, I'd like to do this. Like maybe they're already an exercise coach or something like that, and this would fit nicely into their offerings. How long does it take to go through your program, and what does your program look like? Or are there a couple of different ways to go through it?
Oh, thank you for asking that. However long it takes is completely up to the person because you can go at your own pace or you can choose to fast track it a little bit. I've incentivized my students to be able to do so.
Oh.
So I try to make that as easy as possible for my students to go through the Hot Damn Business Launchpad with flexibility. But in order to incentivize them to get the biggest results within 60 to 90 days, which is to get those first clients under their belt, I provide some cool incentives. One of which is, as an award-winning author and entrepreneur, I get to help them to win their own awards. So that way, this helps to build up their confidence, right? So a lot of times coaches, when they're brand new and they're just starting out, they sort of feel a little like an imposter, kind of feeling like, but I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not really an expert. Air quotes. I don't know if I can really do this. They're fired up and they're ready to hit the ground running. And then they're like, now I'm scared.
Yeah.
So by providing an award incentive, it really helps them to be able to get out of their head and get in momentum and stay in momentum so that they get those clients. They walk away with an award. And now when they start to get featured in media or they're collaborating with other experts or influencers in their field, they can actually show up and say, hey, I'm an award-winning coach. Right. And that sort of changes the way that they show up for people, which is really, really cool.
I love that. And, I think most entrepreneurs go through that struggle anyways. It's a tough road. And when you ditch the 9-to-5 and you decide, okay, I'm going to do this thing for myself, you got to figure out where you're going to get clients from. You got to cut through imposter syndrome. There's like all these things that hit everybody. So they're not alone, but this is great. You're helping them through that tough transition of becoming that entrepreneur on your own. And that's awesome. So tell us about your book, the podcast.
The book is The Skinny on Eating Like You Give a Damn, and it's available wherever all major book retailers are. The podcast is called Eating Like You Give a Damn. And I do have plans for starting a podcast for Coaching Like You Give a Damn, hopefully here before the year is up. That is in the works. You can find me at coachinglikeyogiveadamn.com, where you can learn more about the program for the Hot Damn Business Launchpad. And that's the easiest way to find me. But with the Hot Damn Business Launchpad, it's amazing, how to get your first paying clients and build the foundation for a successful business so that you can quit your job and that you can actually have a fulfilling purpose and passion, get the free time to go on vacations and travel when you want.
That's awesome. And not only are they changing their own life, they're changing other people's lives and impacting the planet and the animals. So that's so awesome. Oh, I love that.
Thanks.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
I'm just so super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Heather.